Hello and welcome. I'm Riversoft Art, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about an upcoming product from myself called Content Wizard for Daz Studio. What is Content Wizard? Content Wizard provides unprecedented control over product installations in Daz Studio. For one thing, you can use it to install content into your content library no matter where it exists and split up however it is. So you could have data on your C drive and it will copy the data. You could have your environments on a D drive in a subfolder. It would copy those, and people, etc. You can even do things like I want to copy into people, Genesis 3 female clothing, and I want it somewhere else. It will install wherever you want it to put things. You still have to configure Daz Studio so it uses this data, but Content Wizard will do it whatever you want. The next big feature is that it will add smart content to products that don't have it very quickly and easily. You just add the product zip files and click Analyze, and it will go through and figure out all the user-facing files and assign metadata to them. You can then verify, change it if it's made mistakes, and then click Install, and it will install the smart content as well. You can also share with others. So you can you can save all the information you've made about a product, such as what's the zip files in it, the icon for it, the smart content, and just share it with someone else, and they can load it into their license copy of Content Wizard and use it to install the same product into their library. Now, if you're a content creator, it's even better because this is a merchant resource. It can export standardized zip files with a self-installer script that a user can just load this script and it will automatically install your product into Daz Studio. No Daz Install Manager, Connect, or whatever required. And you can also batch install stuff. So you can install unlimited number of products to the content library and to smart content. So now that was a quick overview of it, let's show it in action. So once you've installed Content Wizard, you have three icons: the Content Wizard, the Batch Content Wizard, and a link to the user manual. So let's just double-click Content Wizard, and it brings you up into this multi-tabbed interface here. A lot of effort has gone into making this as simple as possible and to only show you options that you need right now or that you can actually do something with. So to install a product in your content library, you just need to find the zip files that make up the product. And for this, I have, what is it called? Sugar spikes, something like that. There it is. Sugar spikes. And at this point, you could just click Install Content, and it'll install the content into your content library. The Content Wizard script automatically has found your My Daz 3D library, so it knows where to put stuff. It's assigned a temporary directory for unpackaging the files. But if you wanted to do that control of where things go, you change the installation directories. So if you wanted environments to go to someplace else, you click the add button next to the environments, and you just select where you want things to go. And by default, when you add a directory, it will append the directory you're redirecting to it. So for here, environments, it says, oh, you wanted an F test. Let's put environments. Why does it do this? This is recommended because scripts and Daz Studio and smart content especially, they like to use relative path names. And usually it's something like for clothing, it will be people / Genesis 3 female / clothing. And without that relative path, scripts and smart content can't necessarily find files. But if you're someone who doesn't want smart content, or you have things very custom, Content Wizard can handle it. It can install wherever you want. So I've redirected environments. I can redirect people to a different location. This one I'll do test data, etc. Now these edit boxes redirect the top level directories or folders just under my Daz 3D library. Now, if you wanted to do what I mentioned earlier, like redirect people, Genesis 3 female / clothing, you have to do the custom path redirects. You click the plus sign, and then you enter the directory you want to redirect. Click accept, and then go to wherever you want to put it. I'll put it here. And so you see here it says, okay, I'll redirect people, Genesis 3 clothing, to D, new folder, and then people, Genesis 3 female clothing. And you click install, and it'll automatically handle it. Now my install isn't that custom, so I'm going to delete these, clear them out, and we have this here, and I just click install content. It will ask you, or it'll tell you if you're overwriting files, and you can just look at each one or say yes to all or no to all. And then when it's finished, it tells you whether it's completed successfully or not. So that's installed it into your content library. If we look at the log, so a lot of runtime textures, and then it's under people, Genesis 8 female, clothing, Art Taylor. So if we save that, we could easily find that under people, Genesis 8 female, clothing, and my clothing directory has a lot of subfolders, so it takes a little bit of time. And let's find Art Taylor. And there it is, sugar and spikes, and you could load it up on the character, and etc. But you don't have smart content at this point, so I'll just delete that. Go back up to Content Wizard and start it. If you notice, I had hit save, so it brings me back to where I was. Now, if I want to do smart content, it makes this really easy. The most important thing you need to do is name it properly. So the name of this, according to the artist, is this. So I will add this. The vendor, I can add these things. That the vendor and the store name and the product ID aren't as necessary, but if you put them in, you also have the benefit of having them in there, and it can actually, you can click on a link and it'll bring it to you. So this is Art Taylor. Art Taylor. Its product ID is here. I'm going to copy this. This is from Renderosity, and I'm going to say it's for teens. I also want to change the icon that the product will show in Daz Studio. So usually what I do is I find the product, and if I take this one and save the image, that's sugar spikes. It's usually about the right size. So now that it's downloaded, I can click this, click on sugar spikes, and it's in here. So at this point, all I need to do is click Analyze, and it goes through and it scans every folder and file and assigns metadata. And in general, it does a great job. There's things that we'll get confused about, but it actually will go inside files, find surfaces, and say, oh, these match to, from this preset material, it has the same surfaces in it as this clothing, etc. I want to check options. I selected restrict surface matches to parent path. So what this means is that in this case, it says, okay, for this, let's find a preset. Materials. A lot of shaders in this one. And it's on the, materials IRA subfolder of sugar and spikes. And sugar and spikes is, where is it? Is up. So it would match these. This works really well with clothing. For environments, you a lot of times don't want to restrict it. So it will find surface matches all throughout the product zip files, but I'm leaving it on for this. One of the things I had in here is, if you'll notice in the table, I have stuff like Daz categories, and I'm going to hide those. The Daz categories are if there's actually metadata already in Daz Studio for the product. This is a great way to learn how to verify categories, compatibility, base, all the other things by showing the Daz metadata. But I don't want this, so I'm going to hide them. So that's that. So you have this table, and it shows all the user-facing files, and it figures out its content type, assigns categories. If it's something like clothing, it assigns a compatibility base, which is a unique identifier for it. This is used by things like materials to say, oh, I am compatible. So I'm compatible with the Sugar Spikes dress G8F, and I should show up when you select the Sugar Spikes dress in the scene view. So, if you go through these, I'm just going to briefly verify them. We obviously have the wardrobe. We have a bunch of preset materials, and in general, it looks like it did a good job. It figured out these are IRA, and it even says, okay, the categories are materials, IRA, wardrobe. It figured out shaping, and we'll look and see if these are to apply or they're removing something. So this is remove pom-pom, and it figured that out. Or inject, this is adding, and then some preset properties. And it goes through. And then shaders, they're usually assigned to, any surface, and it assigns those as well. Now you can easily edit these. So if you wanted to change content type, you just double click on the content type column, and you can just select, and it would change it. If you wanted to change categories, it'll bring up something similar to the edit categories dialog in Daz Studio, and you can go through and change those as well. And you can assign multiple categories. The compatibility base, you can give a unique name and it'll enforce it. If you want to change things to say this is compatible with more than just this dress, you double click this, and here it loads all the products that are in Daz Studio, your Daz Studio, and you could open them up and select others. And it shows the current product at the top. So once you're happy, I'm not going to go through all of these. You just, actually, before I say install smart content, I should talk about other things. So we have, to help you with smart content, we have a few more views. We have a smart content view, which is very similar to what you have in Daz Studio itself. It shows you what icons would show up in different categories. You can even set it up so if you set up a target, like this would be in the scene right here, like let's say you've selected that in the scene. So at this point now nothing shows up for wardrobe and dresses. And when you do the like the materials, it shows which ones would show up. So this is a great way of verifying it, and you can actually change it in this area, in this view. There's a content library view, which is very similar to the content library view in Daz Studio again, and you can see what's in all of the different folders. Now, in the table view, if you double click the image, the file, or the file name, and holding down the control key, it will actually load it up into this file viewer tab. It takes a second, and it provides it in a hierarchical format. So it can help you validate everything when you're trying to set up the smart content. So once you're ready, you click install smart content, and it goes through, and it takes a little time to install everything. So what it's doing now is that it has to actually load items, clothing items in this case, into Daz Studio to actually update the metadata. This is a limitation of the scripting interface, and it does it for each of them that are needed. So once it's loaded, it updates the metadata, and that's what's actually taking the most time right now. And you'll see it, it will create a Renderosity store within your Daz Studio database. It will see if there's a product called Sugar and Spikes D-Force dress already, and if not, it creates one. That is one thing you should be aware of. If you had changed on the product tab, the product name, every time you click install smart content, it will create a new product, and you would need to delete them. So after it's done, it updates the metadata, and we're done. So I'm going to click OK. Now, so save that. If we go into smart content, we can look for the product. Let's go into the product smart content. Spikes, right? Yep. And there it is. And it used the icon that we gave it. It shows you all of the different files in there. It's a full-fledged product installation of smart content. And if I loaded up a figure, it would show the Sugar and Spikes thing in there. I don't want to do that because this is going to be a G video. But so here we can just load in the dress. Now, if we have the dress selected, it's going to show under the materials the ones we have, and you can just change it. So it makes any product from any other website or into a full-fledged Daz Studio product and easy to use and smart content. You can also use Content Wizard to edit any products in Daz Studio. So if you load up one that Daz Studio and you didn't like it, you can change it. Because this is actually probably the easiest way you can change any metadata in Daz Studio, because it's very easy. I can shift select all of these, and I could change all of them so that they're shaders, iRay, and brick. And it does all of them all at once. It's very, very quick. Much easier to use than what's in Daz Studio by default. I'm not going to save that. So let's see. If you wanted to do batch installs, I'm just going to show you the interface really quickly. It shares the options from the regular Content Wizard, and it's just a matter in the batch of saying, let's just add all of these zip files, and then clicking batch install. I'm not going to go through it. So that's it. That's a quick rundown of Content Wizard for Daz Studio. I hope you like it. I'm really excited to get it into your hands. And if you have any questions, look for me in the forums. Thank you and have a great day.